The meaning of numbers in the birth chart. Number 1 in the birth chart. What happens if we have the number 1 in our birth date? This question is significant for many people because everyone born before 1999 has at least one capital, number 1. This number represents the self and how it is expressed or suppressed. The number of 1 south in a birth chart indicates the level of self-control or lack thereof in the individual. 1 number 1. Figure 8. Birth chart with 1 number 1 June 24, 1980. Individuals with 1 number 1 in their birth chart often face slight challenges in expressing themselves verbally. This doesn't mean they cannot speak fluently, but they struggle to convey their inner emotions. They may communicate eloquently and persuasively on topics unrelated to personal emotions, but often cannot articulate their own feelings. Only through growth and self-understanding can they improve in this area. Sometimes, they may intentionally say things entirely opposite to what they truly think as a defense mechanism, deliberately hurting or offending others to protect themselves. This often worsens the original problem and leads to heated arguments. To improve, they need to practice thoughtful communication and learn to control their reactions to criticism. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back, and the damage caused can be hard to heal. One way to address this limitation is to keep a journal. Write down the current date, for example, December 23, 2019, and spend a few minutes before bed reflecting on the day. Note the things you wanted to say or do, but didn't, as well as things you said or did that you now regret. The next morning, read everything aloud in front of a large mirror while observing your body language. Regularly practicing this can noticeably improve confidence and self-expression. In life, those with 1 number 1 often feel a sense of lack, even if they seem to have abundance in other areas. 2 number 1, South 1-1. People with 2 number 1 South 11 in their birth chart are the luckiest in the group, because they naturally possess a balanced ability to express their inner self. This trait should be used wisely and never abused to manipulate others. Also, be patient with those who don't share your fortune of having 2 number 1 South, especially if it's your partner or spouse. Individuals with 2 number 1 South can perceive issues or debates from both perspectives, allowing them to switch sides if the opposing viewpoint proves more valid. This prevents them from falling into rigid thinking, which limits understanding, and they rarely criticize others' mistakes. These individuals often lead balanced, peaceful lives regardless of external circumstances. Additional insights. A birth chart comprises various internal elements that interact or conflict with each other, potentially diminishing the impact of certain factors. For instance, someone with 2 number 1 South might have an empty middle column for 5-6, representing the arrow of frustration as they struggle to achieve what they deeply desire. If they also have the number 7 or 77 or 777, they may face significant challenges in areas such as health, finances, love, or career. However, the strength of 2 number 1 South can help them overcome these difficulties and regain peace through the lessons of loss. 2. Characteristic arrows play a crucial role in highlighting personality traits or life paths. They can pose challenges, particularly if formed by missing numbers, for example, 369 indicating poor memory, or 357 suggesting skepticism or melancholy. For example, I possess the arrow of practicality, 1 for 7 in a horizontal line, which signifies a tendency to believe only what I see. This makes me conservative, resistant to change, and less open to new ideas, which can lead to missed opportunities. However, the presence of 2 number 1 South in my chart enables me to view issues from multiple perspectives and adapt my views when other perspectives hold merit. This ability has been particularly valuable in intuitive matters, requiring deeper understanding beyond what meets the eye. Thanks to this duality, I have overcome the rigidity of the 147 arrow and cultivated greater intuition, enabling me to embrace more diverse and expansive ideas. In summary, the positive, harmonious, and balanced characteristics of 2 number 1 South make individuals well suited for roles as successful politicians, public figures, or celebrities. The presence of 2 number 1 South enhances understanding of others, self-expression, and the ability to view issues from multiple angles, reducing the likelihood of misunderstandings. 3. Number 1, South 111. Figure 11. Birth chart with 3. Number 1 South, the 7th of November, 1982. For individuals with 3. Number 1 South in their birth chart, two quite opposing tendencies may manifest in reality. The more common tendency is for these individuals to be very talkative, often participating in lively conversations where they become prominent and engaging. Generally, they find life pleasant and often strive to share that joy with those around them. The second group includes those with 3. Number 1 South, but none in the mental plane, i.e. no numbers 2, 5, or 8. These individuals are often quiet, introverted, and shy, especially with strangers. However, they can become lively and talkative when conversing with close friends or family times when they feel at ease. Such individuals may find it easier to express their feelings or inner thoughts through writing, as their thoughts flow more coherently without being hindered by their heightened sensitivity. If you belong to this group and have not yet realized your potential for writing, give it a try. Writing can serve as a way to articulate yourself fluently, untangle tangled emotions, and also act as a form of self-healing. Another observation about those with 3. Number 1 South is their fluctuating moods. Depending on other elements in the birth chart, the balance between happiness and sadness may vary. The ideal ratio is 5:5, though it may lean toward 4:6 or even 3:7. During happy moments, they tend to talk a lot, whereas in sad moments, they withdraw and disengage. For Number 1 South, 1111. Figure 12, birth chart with 4. Number 1 South, the 1st of October, 1971. People with 4. Number 1 South in their birth chart often face difficulties in verbal expression, which can lead to misunderstandings. However, life quickly teaches them to mask their inner turmoil with a smile, even as they continue to endure these struggles internally. In essence, individuals with 4. Number 1 South often burden themselves emotionally. The number 1 symbolizes one's ego, so imagine the intensity of having for such egos. These individuals possess a strong sense of self but struggle to articulate deep, intense feelings about themselves. Therefore, Master David advises that, for their own happiness and that of their loved ones, individuals with 4. Number 1 South must learn to control their emotions. When they relax, let go of tension, and overcome their lack of confidence, though they might perceive themselves as overly confident, they will find it easier to express their emotions freely, rather than suppressing their inner turmoil. 5 or more Number 1 South 11111 closing parenthesis. Figure 13, birth chart with 5. Number 1 South, the 11th of November, 1993. With 5 or 6 Number 1 South in a birth chart, the ego is often suppressed to mitigate difficulties in expressing personal emotions. Young individuals in this group often feel sadness due to being misunderstood by those around them. This can lead to detachment and, consequently, loneliness. They may become preoccupied with their appearance and actions, often keeping numerous mirrors in their homes but hiding them to avoid being perceived as self-centered. Nonetheless, they secretly admire themselves in these mirrors whenever possible. This self-absorption and self-deception can lead to mental imbalance. We can help children in this group by encouraging participation in various artistic activities, such as writing, poetry, drawing, pottery, etc. This approach is beneficial for children of all ages. Isolated Number 1 South. If you have a single Number 1 surrounded by many repeated numbers, like 3, 6, 7, 8, or 9, the Number 1 becomes isolated in the birth chart. This is a special case worth noting. Specifically, if the Number 1 lacks adjacent numbers 2, 5, or 4, it naturally becomes a lonely oasis. Refer to cases in figures 12 and 13. Noting the empty spaces around the Number 1. This isolation explains why individuals with such birth charts often feel lonely and misunderstood. These individuals often have more numbers concentrated in the top row, the mental plane, i.e. numbers 3, 6, or 9, or might form an activity, arrow 7, 8, 9, as shown in figure 11. Such cases frequently lead to misunderstandings about their words and actions, or difficulties in explaining themselves clearly. When other numbers in their chart emphasize the top horizontal row, They may be misunderstood as lazy or unreliable because many of their ideas are not realized, or their promises are rarely fulfilled. This results in a loss of trust from others. Unfortunately, in everyday life, those around them often notice these tendencies, while the individuals themselves remain oblivious. This is due to the overpowering nature of their ego, creating a solitary oasis within them. Note: the more number 1 south present, the more gaps appear in the birth chart. This easily creates missing arrows formed by 3 consecutive absent numbers on a horizontal, vertical, or diagonal axis, which often indicate unfavorable traits in life, referred to cases in figures 11, 12, and 13. Those who are aware of this can train themselves, or their children, with activities that fill in these missing virtual numbers, to break the missing arrows, and at the same time, create virtual arrows, to improve their lives.